We were outside yesterday when university personnel were demonstrating. Mm-hmm. What was interesting is that they weren't exactly angry. They were disappointed in you, in government and in parliament.
Yes, they are. And I think that the evolution, quote unquote, after all these austerity measures and the politics and the IMF and the attitude that is exactly the opposite after the Olympic Games, is white and black. Now we're in the black side of the international plus public opinion in Europe, in the States, all over the world for Greek people and for Greek working class and for the government and for everybody else. This evolution ended up into depression in the hearts of people, in disappointment towards any idea of being a citizen in a group, or in a society group, in a social group, or in a political group, or in a country as a member of a greater political group, which is called European Union. First of all, it's not European, and second, it's not Union. Let's be honest, both ideas are rotten now.
Because?
Because Europe had the idea of, after having faced so many wars, so many different cultures, so many different languages, so many different religions, should have ended after 2 world wars into moving and producing more democracy. That means people having the power and not group of interests, big capitals or monopolies. And this was the idea of unification. It ended up in an organization, in a morphoma, as I would say in Greek, that is turning apart the relation between power and the people.
So how do you feel then about Europe, about Brussels and Berlin dictating your own domestic policy?
Dictating? They're not dictating. They are imposing and blackmailing politics.
They imposed austerity on you.
It's not only austerity. First of all, to keep you in the so-called group of powerful European countries, you should have the same currency. But they tried out and they decided what currency, what substance, how much it cost. And I have to tell you that even the Germans, they use one word for euro. In German, it's Euro. That means terror. So this unification, this fiscal unification, numismatic unification, was not for the good of people, was for the interest. So that big different economic superpowers, the United States, Europe, that means Germany, India, Brazil, China, they have to have their antagonisms, and they should have a useful tool, which was the euro. Go out in these people and tell them that they woke up one morning. Of course, they voted for these parties. They promised them paradise, peace, everything. A cup, a small bottle of water costed in one night, just changing from drachma to euro, 5 times up. And now they're saying we leave because we are not working. Look at Eurostat. Look at the International Organization of Labor. Everybody's saying that Greeks are working hard, but we have 1.5 million official jobless people. Okay, we cannot produce.
Something like 25% of the population.
25, and it's augmenting. It's the official number. The practical number, the real number is something around 34.
Chancellor Merkel thinks that Greece was not ready to join the euro, that Chancellor Schroeder was wrong to allow you into the euro.
Why they press so much for the invitation, please get in the club? Because it was a class invitation.
Meaning?
The ruling class invited the Greek ruling class to get into this party. And then the party went bad, and now the waiters and the waitresses of the party are paying the price.
So in terms of the hierarchy of the blame, who are you blaming for the Greek problems?
Who am I blaming?
Who do you blame?
capitalism, imperialism, and its politics.
How about your government?
My government is a capitalist government and has chosen this way of thinking, acting, and making money.
But it's a democratic
they say,
government.
My country.
It was elected by the people.
Yeah, you can put a lot of people in a very nice and golden cage that looks golden. You get in, and then you find yourself in hell. What did they tell?
So you think the Greek people were manipulated into entering the euro?
Manipulated and told lies and blackmailed. Because look, I will give you an example. Back in 2000, 1999, just before entering the Europe, you know what the banks told people? Come into my bank, take a loan to buy a new car because you have to renew your car, because you have to renew your mobile phone, and you will start paying the first payment, monthly payment, 6 years after. People that wanted to be a part of the so-called
Consumerist
consuming
society.
democracy. This is a consumer democracy. Démocratie consommatrice in French. So what did they do? They went to the bank. They had a stable job, they had time to plan, and they said, okay, 200 euros I can spend every month to buy a new car if I start paying 6 years after. And all of a sudden, Olympic Games came. Everybody was talking about beautiful Greece, beautiful Greeks, full of prosperity, having enough money to hold the games. This was 2004. It was just 5 years after the intervention of the rich people that they destroyed Yugoslavia, they cut it into small pieces, they ethnic cleansed it themselves, they spent a lot of money to the big war industries, they input democracy there, and all of a sudden, the rest of the problem is turned out to be a European problem. The silly Southerners, the non-working Southerners, the clever and very good Northerners.
And now what for Greece?
For Greece?
It looks bleak, doesn't it?
I'll tell you, I cannot guess.
Well, it
If
looks
I
bleak.
put it, no. It's a dead end. It looks like a dead end. You have to trust us because we are historically innovators of our own selves. Trust us, we'll find the solution.
But you failed for 12 years now
Yeah,
to
okay.
find a solution. And now you're $325 billion in debt to the Troika, to the European banks and the American banks and so on.
They say so.
Well, you are.
No.
You signed papers.
No.
You owe them money.
Whoever signed the papers is responsible. We can throw them out of politics. We cannot recognize.
And you will default on your payments?
What are you going to do if we do so? Is the question.
Kick you out of the euro?
I can return the question.
Kick you out of the euro?
If I don't recognize a debt as a Greek people in working class, what will you do? Kill me?
You won't be able to borrow a single
Enslave
dollar
me.
in the international money
Enslave
market.
me? Do you think I don't have enough richness in this country to survive?
Do you?
Oh, yes, I do. I have fruitful soil. I have mines from gold to oil. I have the sea. I have fish. I have good weather. I have good working people. I have educated people.
And your currency will be?
Whatever. But this is not the way you program things. It's the way the Greek people, they want to program, the way they're going to decide their future.
You're in Parliament. It seems to me there are a few choices, and one of the paradoxes I was quite shocked by is that you spend more money on the military than most countries in the world. And you are a member of NATO already. At least there's a part there where you can save money. Why are you spending so much money in the military while you're taking money away from education?
Simple explanation for your audience to understand. We are a member of NATO since I was born. I was born in 1954. Okay? It's NATO who invaded Cyprus. another member of NATO, Turkey. We had invasion, we had refugees, like it's happening now in Syria, in different countries of the so-called beautiful civilization sea that's called the Mediterranean Sea and its surroundings. So, we have Turkey as a partner and Turkey as an invader in Cyprus.
But there is no military answer to that for Greece.
No, there is no military answer. Who says so?
There is a military answer.
What? To what?
There's a Greek military answer to the Turkish.
No. This was the excuse. This was the idea of putting money into NATO. Now the Greek people pay Greek soldiers to keep up the airport in Kandahar, in Darfur. We are turned into police soldiers, big brave NATO men guarding peace. Where the hell is peace? Wherever NATO went, there is war, there is no peace. Why should I pay for this money? Why?
I'm asking you, why should you pay?
Now?
I'm asking the questions.
No.
Why are you paying for
You're
this
asking
money?
the questions. No, I'm returning the question. My party says get out of NATO, get out of the European Union, we can manage, survive. And then the answer comes, what are you going to do alone in this world? They're going to kill you, Big Mama and Big Dad. Who's Big Mama and Big Dad? The IMF? The World Bank? The big banks? What are banks producing now? What are big companies are producing now?
You think this is a sentiment that also...
This is not a sentiment. This is a choice. It's a political choice.
But for the Greek majority, for the Greek people today, they feel that they are less European, less NATO, less part of a collective.
Now they start understanding the lies and they turn into Euroscepticists. Because when the Turks invaded Cyprus, now is in the same position with Greeks, with Greece, with Portugal, with Italy, with... why don't you ask these questions to Belgians?
But don't you think
they have bigger debt than we have.
But don't you think
why don't you ask it to Italians?
But don't you think it was worse before NATO and before the European community?
Before the invasion, before all these things, we had a dictatorship. And it was fed by NATO. We had a dictatorship. No one was asking the questions of democracy and Greek people during the dictatorship. They were making money out of it. Why Greece is in this? Just read today's newspaper, New York Times. They say that black bargainers make money out of Greek misery. So they want to keep this misery going on because they buy cheap land, cheap holidays, cheap chances, cheap this. It's an opportunistic, big Las Vegas type game on a roulette of capitalism, and Greece has one good prize on this table.
Your crisis has actually become a blessing for some of those powerful democracies.
Blessing? They make a fortune. They make a fortune, but they don't have moral questions in their minds. It's their job to make money. It's my job to put a price on human life that it's priceless.
So, in terms of the austerity measures and the budget cuts, the most vulnerable are paying the price. And you just spoke about it in
Do me a favor to
Parliament.
understand me. Don't use the word austerity. Start using the word genocide measures. Because in the 21st century, with all this technology, with all this history, and with all this effort, we fought in 2 world wars. We were with the winners, okay? So what's happening now? I'll tell you, 250,000 Greek young boys and girls under 15, they go to school without 1 meal. They faint out. They're not in Beirut. They're not in Cairo. They're not in Tunisia. They're not in Darfur. They're not in Iraq. They're not in Pakistan. They're not in India. They are in the so-called beautiful Europe of the 21st century with big victorious Merkel and I don't know, kings and queens and big companies.
Why is
Why? Because there's no money left for that. They cut from the lives of people so that the money left out of the blackmailers and the big money, international and Greek, that took out all the money for their own benefit. If we stay less, then we cost less. And the hypocrites go out and talk about Greek youth, education, and all these things. You can't have future if you have a starving generation full of needs, hatred, and most probably turn into black mines of fascism for taking power and feed themselves.
Hence the Golden Dawn.
It will end up to that. It will end up to that mathematically. If you cut budget and you put back into hell people with special needs, that they need special care, if you have the normal kids fainting out of hunger, then you can imagine what is happening. It's a genocide to the other categories of kids, old people, people that they cannot move, they need their medicine. So it's not austerity. It's turning slightly, democratically, nicely painted into a genocide, and I think that punishment is coming.
To those in power.
Most of the times, what is punishment for these politics? Is revolution and change.